So earlier this week, Infinity Ward kinda snuck loot boxes into the Modern Warfare beta. Was it deceitful? And does voting with your wallet actually do anything? Over the weekend, Infinity Ward launched the open beta for Modern Warfare. A bunch of other platforms are going to come in at other random times this month. I don't know, it's kind of a weird schedule. Also, keep in mind that the gameplay in this is probably not good because I'm not a PS4 player and I am just still trying to figure out this game. Everything was kind of going fine for a little bit, then player LegacyKillaHD posted a screenshot on Twitter of an after-action report showing a spot for loot crates, and of course the internet lost its shit. For a little bit of a backstory about the history of Call of Duty when it comes to microtransactions, they've been in the game since roughly 2016 with the launch of Infinite Warfare, and Black Ops 4 was recently criticized for implementing loot boxes after the launch, likely to dodge negative reviews, and because the signature weapons that were only available in the supply drops came with an XP boost, and a lot of people saw that as play to win. So I'm not really here to talk about whether or not loot boxes are bad or why they're bad or anything like that, because honestly there are thousands of channels out there putting out thousands of videos over that almost non-stop. They're bad and unethical, but I mean, as far as the reason why, there's really no sense to explain it here. So the first thing I really want to look at is, was what they did deceitful? And really, I don't think it was. Now, they really didn't try to hide it. It only came up for somebody after level 6 in the after action report. It was kind of briefly hinted and then went away. Most likely it was a bug or something like that, but I don't think they really tried to hide anything. Because if they were trying to hide something, it just wouldn't have been in the game at all. And Taylor Karowski and Joe Cesot were on Game Informer's Modern Warfare podcast, and when they were asked point blank about loot boxes, they said they couldn't explicitly confirm them, but they said that there would basically be microtransactions in the game by not openly denying it. If they weren't going to be in the game, they would have just said it outright and probably would have honestly marketed, because it's something that have made a lot of people upset. Or since they didn't completely deny loot boxes being in the game, you can pretty much safely assume with the history of this game, the history of Activision, and history of the gaming industry in general, that they were going to be in the game. And honestly, the way that they approached this isn't the worst thing that they could have done. So I mean, they could have completely hidden loot boxes until the release came out, which would have made everybody mad because the reviews would have already been out at that point, and it would have just really been unfair, which is what happened with Black Ops 4. They could have also just started taking money for the loot boxes right now, which would have made the internet lose its shit even harder. The only thing that I really think that they could have done to be more ethical in this situation would be offer a free version of the supply drops to see what exactly it is you're getting into at this point, but really if it's just a beta and they're testing out gameplay, I don't see a point in it. Obviously, it's not the best thing that they could have done. Honestly, the best thing that they could have done was just never have loot boxes in any of these games, but as far as things go, this isn't completely horrible. Am I surprised that loot boxes in this game? Honestly, fuck no. Loot boxes have been in previous Call of Duty titles. Loot boxes have been heavily pushed by Activision titles for years. It's literally in every multiplayer game that they've released in the past 3 to 5 years. And really, in general, it's kind of an industry trend, so I would be more surprised, honestly, if I didn't see them. And really not expecting the game to have some sort of microtransactions, especially coming from Activision in the year of 2019, would be a little bit naive. So, of course, I am not surprised at all that loot boxes are in the game. I'm not happy about it, I'm not really happy with the way that they presented them, but I don't think that it's really unexpected at this point. The one thing that everybody asks at this point when they're upset over loot boxes or whatever is in a game is, what can we do? And the general answer is vote with your wallet. The theory behind that is if people don't buy a game because of a certain feature, it will force the developers to change that part of the game. In reality, it really doesn't work because large-scale boycotts rarely work. First of all, you would have to get an insane amount of people to come up with this boycott in order for it to really take effect. The last Call of Duty, Black Ops 4, was a low-selling Call of Duty, and they sold 14 million copies. If you got everybody on, say, the Call of Duty subreddit, which sits around 200,000 people, to not buy the game, it would only be a 1.4% difference. 1.4% in terms of forecasted sales is a margin of error. Like, it really will not affect their bottom line if this comes up. The other thing you have to consider is that only about 6% of the entire community that buys this game is going to make up between 40 and 60% of the total income for microtransactions in this game. Which, I mean, Activision's smart, they're not ethical, they're not fair, they're not really good, but they are smart. And they sat down and probably ran the numbers and figured out that they were going to make more money by having loot boxes in the game, rather than not having them and having a couple more sales. I mean, it's less of a pool, but considering that $4 billion out of the $7 billion that Activision made in 2017 came directly from microtransactions, with $2 billion of those being directly from Activision and Blizzard games, without mentioning King, which is kind of their mobile division, I think that they're pretty confident that they're going to make money off this game, and that's the only thing that they really care about. The other thing is even if you can get a boycott together that is large, it is very hard to get regular customers to care about a single issue enough to actually keep it up. For example, in 2009, Infinity Ward, the same company that we're talking about right now, announced that there wasn't going to be dedicated server support for Modern Warfare 2. Dedicated servers at the time, and still now, but not nearly as much, was a very important thing for the PC community. Everybody on the PC community kind of got together and said, hey, we're not going to buy this game until they add dedicated servers to the game. To this day, they still don't have dedicated servers, and there was actually a screenshot that went around of one of the larger groups that was like a don't buy Modern Warfare 2 until they add dedicated servers group. There was a screenshot shared where like half of the people in that group actually bought the game. Because initially people will be riled up, and when you're talking about what we can do and what we will do in the future, everybody's going to say, yeah, I'm going to stick to my guns, I'm not going to buy this, but over time people kind of just stop caring. They de-escalate. So right now we're maybe a month away from the release. Yeah, you can probably get a lot of people saying, yeah, I'm not going to buy this game. However, in a month from now, they're not really going to care as much. They're probably not going to remember. It's going to leave their mind. And then when they see their friends playing the game and when they see gameplay of other people playing it, they're going to go, actually, I do kind of want to check this out. I kind of want to play it. And then a lot of them will buy the game. So not only do you have to get a lot of people together to make a difference, you have to also get enough of those people to commit to it. And also considering that this game has seen drops between consecutive titles in the numbers of 5 to 10 million, because keep in mind that Modern Warfare 3 was the highest selling game at like 30 or 31 million copies. Since then, they have seen a drop all the way down to 14 million, with 5 to 10 million drops in between. So really, at this point, voting with your wallet doesn't work. I mean, I'm not arguing that you should buy Modern Warfare. I'm not saying that this system is fair or ethical or loot boxes are actually good. I'm just saying that the concept of not purchasing something because you want something to change in it doesn't really work. Instead, what you should do is, if you have a problem with loot boxes in this game, or you have a problem with anything in any game, don't buy the game. By all means, don't spend money on something that you don't want or you don't support. But get rid of the ego. Get rid of the assumption that anything is going to change. And simply just don't buy the game because you don't want it. You're going to live a happier and more fulfilling life not buying things and moving on than not buying them and waiting, day and night for something to change. Because honestly, things rarely do. So, I kind of want to know, is this something that you're upset enough to not buy this game over, or are you going to pick up the game? Honestly, I've tried the beta and it's okay. Kind of still on the fence about it. And I don't buy loot boxes either way, so I kind of don't care. But, what do you guys think? Thank you guys for watching. Like, subscribe, all that shit. Peace out.